Saturday. Christmas comes early.
Unbelievable! Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone!
Chargers.
It's a touchdown!
An exclusive NFL game.
That's fantastic!
Live in primetime.
Wow!
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans.
They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of vacations. Icon of the Seas, arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com.
Reboot your credit card with Apple Card, the credit card created by Apple. It gives you unlimited daily cash back that you can now choose to grow in a high-yield savings account that's built right into the Wallet app. Apply for Apple Card now in the Wallet app on iPhone and start growing your daily cash with savings today. Apple Card subject to credit approval. Savings is available to Apple Card owners subject to eligibility requirements. Savings accounts provided by Goldman Sachs Bank USA. Member FDIC. Terms apply.
Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another episode of the Shades of Blue Soccer Show. We are the KC Soccer Journal. Cody, Robert, Thad, and David are all here. Boys, that one really took it out of me last night. Disappointing loss against Miami in Fort Lauderdale. David likes to keep pointing out in Fort Lauderdale. They are not in Miami. Not a good game. We will talk about all of that. We've got national team stuff to talk about. Current have been eliminated, so a lot to get to. But first, I want to correct some mistakes that we made last week. We had a really fun episode last week, taking a victory lap against and stomping on the grave of St. Louis. So go check that out if you had not. But a couple mistakes. This first one actually is not really a mistake. I just have a bone to pick with my guy Thad here. While listening back, Thad, it came to the part where you were laying into me for my bad shot in the media game. It was the worst thing you had ever seen, etc., etc. And then I got to the part where you brought the podcast back to correct what I was saying about Polito's second goal, to make sure that you noted that it was a very difficult thing that he had done there and that it was through other people. And I just want to say you're giving me some unfair double standards here. My shot was further out than Alan Polito, the $10 million Mexican striker. But you really laid into me. All right, so what's up with this? Are you taking it easy on players? Are you showing your bias and that you're not gonna go into these players when you need to?
I think every comment, every criticism is absolutely situational, and you absolutely deserve more criticism than Alan Polito does. Alan scored 2 goals that game. Alan put it through traffic skillfully. You shanked it wide with less traffic in front of you. It may have been from farther out. And I have never heard Polito live and die on one media game goal like you do. So you absolutely deserve the criticism, where Polito, he deserves like $4.4 million a year.
Come on, Thad. The intense pressure of a media game is difficult to handle.
Thank you.
Come on.
Thank you, Robert.
I know. I remember Cody struggling with the pressure
scrutiny,
when
man.
he did that one media game before. So where he failed to score on some old guy in goal.
No, for real.
Who was that old guy? I don't remember.
Yeah, it might have been me.
Maybe.
Cody, play your clip. Play your clip. Get the glory. Don't let them.
No, it's not.
Don't let them dull your shine.
No, it's not the right time. No, for real. Last week, I made the excuse about the jersey because I thought it would be funny, but I have a very real excuse. I figured out what it was. The only thing I've kicked in however long is a kickball, as our listeners of the show know very well, because we talked about kickball for like 20 minutes on a recent episode. And yeah, the kickballs are huge. That's one thing we didn't talk about. They're very big and heavy. It's like kickball. You played it as a kid on the playground when you were smaller and the ball was big. And they've just kept the proportions the same. We're all bigger now, and the ball is really big. And I kicked it like it was a big, heavy kickball. And if it was a kickball, it was going in the upper 90, I'm just saying.
So your problem is big balls.
Yes. Yes. Plagued me.
Or lack thereof is what I was thinking. But anyway.
Yes, the problem's plagued me my entire life. The other mistake.
Are we talking beach ball size for this kickball, or give me some reference here?
It is almost beach ball size, for real.
Okay.
It is just imagine like if you were a little kid on a playground playing a kickball. It's like takes up your whole chest. You know what I mean? It's like it's a big thing. And yeah, they're
difficult to catch too. Huh?
Yeah, they are not easy unless you're me in the outfield. The other mistake that we
kickball is 10 inches in diameter and is inflated to 1.5 pounds per square inch.
What regulation is this? I don't know. Different regulations.
From the World Kickball Association.
Well, I'm not playing in what that sounds like a very elite thing. I'm in a beer league. Let me move on here. The other mistake we need to remedy was about the city discussion. In an attempt to not be so mean, because we were just laying into St. Louis the entire time, tried to give them some support. Not one of my podcast mates here corrected me on this, and not one of our listeners. And I know you guys are just waiting for a mistake to jump on every single time. And so not one person got this mistake. And I actually think I've said this in an older pod too. And so no one has ever corrected this. But I was trying to give St. Louis City for being the first to claim the very soccer-y name of a club that is known as City. And I just entirely, and apparently everybody, forgot entirely about the existence of Orlando City, which is also not a city, but they have claimed City. They were the first to do it. So St. Louis doesn't even have that either.
How could we forget about Dom Dwyer's spiritual homeland?
Good point.
No, but it does. This does beg some teams you just forget about. Like genuinely, they're MLS. We have the two different conferences, and I forget about teams. So I have top 5 MLS teams you forget about. Someone filibuster for me.
I don't forget about Orlando. I just don't care about Orlando.
Right. There you go. Same thing.
Hey, come on. Orlando funded the acquisition of Alan Pulido for the most part, right? I mean, come on.
They did? Oh, through the Dom
Dwyer.
Dwyer.
We used some of that money we got from Dwyer for that.
Whatever. That was like.
Come on. I'm trying to fill in.
Did we?
Cody. Come on.
Yeah. Were we just sitting on that money for a long time?
Yeah. It felt like 5 years after that, but.
I think that was used well before that.
Okay. It was a stretch.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
I'm trying to give somebody credit that they don't deserve. Like, neither Florida team really deserves a lot of credit. They both are in Florida. They both cheat.
Does Orlando cheat?
They use tampering to get Dom Dwyer.
Oh, well, that's fine, though.
Okay, technically they didn't. They got in trouble for it, though.
Sometimes you just have to let somebody go to their spiritual home.
The unemployment line.
That was good. Oh, you got that.
Here's
in
my
there
question:
right
would Dom Dwyer play? Would he be good at kickball?
Does he got big balls?
I don't think. Whoa!
Well,
whoa!
If Cody uses a big ball, I think that might hamper Dom also because he's
a little guy,
not that tall.
He doesn't strike me as a guy that could catch well. I see a lot of dropped pop-ups from him. The ball spins a lot. It's difficult. Anyway, I'm ready. Cody's top 5 MLS teams you forget about. Number 5.
Hey, don't forget to let it breathe.
Oh yeah,
da-da.
Yeah. I have the fanfare. I have the system down here. Number 5, controversial one here. New York City FC. What are they even doing? Who plays for that team? Are they still in a baseball stadium? Do they have a stadium yet? I don't know what's going on there. Genuinely, I don't. At this moment, I cannot name one player for that team. Number 5 team that you forget about, New York City FC. Number 4 team that you forget about, the Philadelphia Union. We played them in a final, but again, it's just that conference over there. I don't know what's going on. I think they're probably good this year. I don't know. You forget about them. They just don't do anything. They don't have a good brand voice. All I know about them is that they have the bridge in the background of their stadium, which we will mimic as well.
And they go to finals and they sell a lot of players for a lot of money.
They do sell players. There you go. Okay, but that's why they're only number 4. The number 3 MLS team you forget about. Damn it. And then I messed
Did
up.
you duff your own?
I did. That is the fine of the highest order there. The number 3 team you forget about. Montreal. I don't even know their team name anymore at this point. Is their logo still a butthole? Did they change that yet? I don't know what's going on there. The number 2 MLS team that you forget about, Charlotte FC. New team, and they popped up on MLS 360 one time, and I was like, oh yeah, forgot they had a team. They need to get
the spiritual home of Jalen Lindsey.
They need to get a brand image. Jalen Lindsey is my only connection to them. They need to do something in the league. Get it together, Charlotte. The number 1 MLS team you forget about is, of course, Orlando City. Man, that one's going to sit with me that I messed up that branding. That one's going to sit with me for a while there.
All right, so this is time for analysis now. Well, Cody, you messed up your own process here that
I
you
did.
very belaboredly talked to us about having to do it correctly.
That's terrible.
But I think the one observation I really take away from your list is you don't know anything about the Eastern Conference.
Yes, that was the joke, was that it was just Eastern Conference teams there that I don't watch.
Okay,
those
so
games.
I pointed out the joke. Sorry.
Yeah, I explained it there. Thank you for that.
Hey, I'm a little slow sometimes, especially
For what it's worth, some of those teams are worth watching. Like Philly's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you forget about them. No brand image, no brand voice they have there.
I don't forget about them.
I haven't forgotten about them.
It was my list. You don't like the list? Make your own list. Let's talk about the Miami game eventually.
Yeah.
We're 10 minutes in here. We haven't talked about the Miami game because
Enter Florida.
Enter Fort Lauderdale. We were kind of avoiding it. It really did. I was trying to keep things happy and fun here at the beginning, but that I was very, very disappointed by this game because it was there for them. Like even after everything that did happen, it was there for them at the end to steal at least a point out of this. But for me, it comes down to there was those 2 just moments of lapses of judgment. The restart where they just had the free breakaway. And then Tim Milia's, I don't know what he was doing on the PK. And it was just those 2 moments. The PK was so against the run of play. That third goal for them came when it really felt like Sporting were still in it, had a chance to steal some points, and that felt like it kind of put it away. Thad, how are you feeling after this? Is it's not the end of our hopes, is it?
No. I mean, we went into this knowing that they weren't going to win every game and kind of account for that. It would have been useful, though, because it was one that they could have won or at least get a point out of. That's probably the bigger thing. The nice thing is it wasn't against a Western Conference team that you know about, so that it wasn't a direct competition for the standings.
No, but MLS is rigged, right? That's why we lost. They got to get Miami into the playoffs. That's what happened.
I don't think MLS is rigged. I think there's just a lot of referees out there that don't really care for a certain coach that's been in the league forever and may let that cloud their judgment once in a while. I'm not saying that that's what it was, but I do feel like sometimes those calls go against us that would have maybe benefited us with people were liked better.
I'm telling you, he has a thing. I don't care what the numbers say. They might have changed, but at one point we had a negative record against him. He was one of the worst records of any ref that we had was against Elfath. And he does. You can just see it in his eyes. I swear. I'll be petty about it. I don't care. He hates Sporting Kansas City, and you can just see it. And
guys, I all in favor of bashing on the officials,
especially Elfath.
But what calls did he get wrong last night?
I was getting there before you interrupted me, David. I know you want to get all over Fontas on the restart play. There is a lot of excuses. There's a lot of finger pointing that can be done there. A lot of people didn't do what they were supposed to do, but neither did Elfath. I'm sorry, I have seen that play get taken back more times than I can count. Roger Espinoza loves a quick restart, and the refs never let him do it. And there are times where they pull it back, and there's less of a reason to do so than what was on this play. The ball was being held. He was maybe not in a conversation, but he was looking at Fontas, listening to what Fontas had to say, and then half a second later, the ball was 30 yards down the field. I'm sorry, that's just one of those plays. The ref calls that back almost every time, but he didn't because it's Elfath, because he hates Sporting Kansas City.
And it is a play that Sporting does a lot, or tries to do a lot, and they get stopped a lot. Even in that game, there was a corner kick that they took that got called back. It was a fast, short corner, and they got called back, and they made them reset it so that Miami could have time to set up.
Yeah. Elfath hates us.
And in what world does a player touch or a fourth official and not get a red card?
Yeah, and especially...
that was interesting.
Yeah, and
I haven't seen a replay, so maybe it's the lightest of touches, or maybe it was completely incidental or accidental, and they still got a yellow. But it just seems really weird that they have to call the center over to do something about it, and it's not a red card.
Yeah, there was no video, but the referee who was the one that was touched or pushed or whatever, that's what we saw, was him explaining to Elfath what happened, and it was not what he was miming or mimicking was not an incidental contact. It was like he showed that there was like some anger, like that it was a response, a reaction that Alba did. And it's hard to be mad at that one because we don't have the video, but you're right. It's a lot of the time when someone makes angry contact with the official that it's kind of an automatic ejection.
Yeah, and it probably wouldn't have changed anything being it was 2 minutes left in the game, but
right.
Oh, you mean in the final 2 minutes when we had like 6 chances to score? I think it may very well have made a difference.
I've also watched Sporting a lot of times, so I know that probably wouldn't have made a difference.
David, do you want to get in here and complain about Andreu Fontas? Because that's just kind of your default mode here. Do you want to say something about that play?
You know, I don't know that we need to categorize it as my default mode is to complain about Andreu Fontas. But
we don't need to, but we are.
I am doing it anyway.
But yeah, I mean, look, whether that's a handball or not, you know, that is up for debate, right? There's plenty of times where that play is waved on. But if you're going to pick up the ball and argue with the referee, hang on to the goddamn ball.
Yeah.
Like, he just so gently gave it to Sergio Busquets as if to say, like, yeah, hey, I know I'm way out of position and I'm not focused, but, like, if you'd like to take a quick restart, here's the ball to do it. Like, what was that? What was that?
Well, it bothers me that it, like, again, yes, he should have done things differently there. He's not the only one that was out of position. There's another defender there because it was the entire half of the field that was open. So he wasn't the only one that was out of position there. But
it was just an insanely low IQ play.
It's not soccer related. That it was just like something else. This is weird, strange, unlucky play that led to that. And yeah, we didn't. I meant to jump back in about the handball there because that's what Peter Vermees did during the post game interview. Was he came back into frame after leaving to jump in and let everyone know that Fontas said that he did not touch that ball with his hand. So again, another reason to feel hard done. And it's just I'm not trying to make excuses. It might have even been when it was all said and done, just because of how stupid some of those plays were. It might have actually been a fair result, even though Sporting had all of these other chances. It just sucked that Melia has been so good, and then it's just this one play that is inexplicable. I don't know what he was doing. Actually, I think what he was doing was 3 or 4 years ago, he comes out and gets there. And I think he learned on this play that he is not that fast anymore, that his body just doesn't get to that point that fast anymore. But it really, obviously it's not the end of it. So many different things can change. The table is the way it is. But this one really took it out of me. I know we were allowed to lose a game maybe even, we were allowed to drop other points, but this was one without Messi there that it just should have been 3 points. We should have started this final 9 games with 3 straight wins and 9 points off the bat. And this is taking a lot of steam out of me here, Robert. Where are you at?
Yeah,
with
we had 15 shots to their 10. We had 7 corners to their 2, and Miami sucks at defending set pieces, and we still couldn't score off our corners. So, yeah.
Yeah, the game was largely even in terms of passes completed, passes attempted, possession. Like, for the most part, the game was played pretty evenly. And Sporting's undoing was Tim's penalty, and Fontes is just giving the ball to Sergio Busquets for a quick restart. But what I noticed
he was pickpocketed. That's why Busquets is so good.
He handed it over and said "Te amo," which is Spanish for "I love you." Notably, they were teammates at one point. But he gifted it to him ever so gently with, just a kiss and a hug and a pat on the ass as he then kicked the ball down the field.
And his jersey after the game.
Did they really exchange jerseys?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. I was like, I turned it off. But no, Cody, I echo your sentiment. I think going into this final stretch of games, it kind of penciled in that there would be at least one loss. And for me, that was St. Louis.
Yep.
And so when we took all 3 from St. Louis, it looked like a place to steal extra points.
Well, no, there's another game versus St. Louis at St. Louis, which is the one that
right.
I was kind of penciling in as we're going to need a loss somewhere here.
But so it's frustrating. It's frustrating because, Sporting, to me, didn't come out with any energy to start the second half. They were down 2-1, and, they played, again, pretty even most of the second half, but they didn't seem to have any urgency. They didn't seem to have any fire. In fact, the early stages of that second half were completely dominated by Miami. And Miami was the one looking to press the advantage. And so it was only after we went down 3-1 that Sporting started to, show some purpose and move the ball. And even then, after we scored to get within 1 after Alan Pulido's awesome shot, they still weren't really pressing forward aggressively. And, I noticed last week in the match against St. Louis, towards the end of the match, Roman Berkey ran all the way up on a set piece to flood the box. And Thad, I just realized that you changed your username to Thad does not use kickballs as an excuse. And I just think it's important for people to know that.
That was not an important sidebar for that conversation. Just say we didn't need to do that.
But St. Louis, who's top of the league, or top of the Western Conference rather, and didn't need the points, was just looking to level the game at Kansas City just because it's a rivalry and they were trying to dick punch all the fans, sent Berkey up in what would otherwise have been a totally meaningless kind of match. And Sporting didn't do that. In the 98th minute of the match, when we've got consecutive corners, Tim was nowhere to be seen. And that's not Tim's fault, but
he just can't run that far. He's too old to run that far.
Sporting just didn't seem to play with any sort of energy or sense of purpose coming out of the locker room.
We got to see Agata and Pulido on the field at the same time. What'd you think of that, David?
It made me happy.
Yeah.
It made me a lot happier than seeing other people on the field instead of Willie Agata.
You mean somebody brought in to be a threat on set pieces?
Somebody who has never scored with his head?
I wouldn't say never.
Did it make you happy until you saw Willie Agata take one of the most awful shots I have ever seen in my entire life?
No, because also that wasn't worse than the shot you took in the media game.
Yeah, it was way worse. Way worse.
No.
I was in his own world.
I was like 2 yards wide.
Clearly.
No, Agata came on and took 2 shots that were a combined 3 miles off target.
When you say miles off target, are you talking about as the crow flies, nautical miles, or just,
Isn't nautical and as the crow flies the same thing?
I don't know.
Thad?
One's on water, one's in air.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you for that, Thad. We really needed that from you. David, anything else like tactically here that we haven't discussed? How about Felipe Gutierrez in the first half?
So I thought Felipe, he was okay. He did some nice things. He did some not amazing things in the midfield. But what I've noticed is that Vermees lately has been, as Nemanja Radoja is working back towards fitness, Vermees is using that halftime substitution window a lot more. Subbing Radoja in the second half of a match and, functionally just using Felipe as a 45-minute player. It's an interesting thing, that having that extra sub window is nice. And I guess you can let the guy run out and run around as hard as he wants, not having to worry about, his endurance and whether or not he can play a full 90. But also, if you feel like, Vermees so often says, I feel like we were controlling the match, or I feel like we were doing things really well. So it's interesting to see him kind of have this pre-planned sub every match that it almost seems like no matter what, I'm going to put in Radoja at halftime.
Felipe's screamer off the cross, I guess that wasn't off the crossbar, shot from
hands.
Off the hands of the keeper is what set up the goal. I was thinking of a couple games ago, he had a screamer off the crossbar. So, and it was from that, a shot from distance from about that exact same spot. Felipe's inching closer there. Mark my words. We're going to have a Felipe screamer from distance here at some point in this last, what are we at, 6 games left?
6 games left.
Oh, man. That makes me feel a certain way.
And what is that way, Cody?
I don't know, like butterflies, but they're angry butterflies. Like nervous, but whatever the not good nervous is. And you know who else must get those butterflies? Is Daniel Shalhoub in the box the last couple games. I'm sorry, that was a really hard. I was trying to transition there into that, and it came out really harsh. But
You can edit that out.
But the last 2 games, Daniel has had the ball in the box in a moment where you just have to score, and he has not done it. And they almost went down and scored immediately after it in this Miami game. It didn't happen immediately after, but they did. That was when we could have gone up 2-1, and then they scored that third goal, which is always an important goal in a 1-1 game. And I don't know. Daniel is not. It's almost like if he doesn't create it himself, or if he's given too much time, or if it's too easy, he's gonna kick it into someone, or it's not gonna work out. And all of his goals need to be just some very quick snap of his leg out of nowhere, and he needs to create it all on his own. But that was, I knew in that moment, the play I'm talking about is that incredible flick from Johnny Russell. Someone looped the ball across the field over to him, and he just started running as the ball was coming and flicked it with his back foot. It was that was one of my favorite touches of the year so far, and it just resulted in nothing. And yeah, that's something that this team does. Like I said, it was there for them in this game, and they just couldn't get the goals that they needed. So, any other final thoughts from this game? How about Tim Melia did not look good on that one play, but he looked even worse on a shot later on that was not even on target. Someone took a rip from distance, and it went to his far post. And man, he looked like, I'm sorry, I love Tim Melia, but he has never looked older than he did on this play. It was like not a dive over to cover it. It was kind of falling over and then picking himself up, and it just was not a good moment. Timmy is maybe showing some age there after his heroics in the rivalry game.
Okay, well, hold on. I'm not going to let you end the segment by slandering Tim.
Yeah,
Melia.
please bring us back up there.
So there were 2 other plays, since you were going to shit on him for that one. There's 2 other plays that where Melia looked great. Now, I think one was flagged for offsides and one ended up being flagged for a handball, but Leo Campana, and I can't remember if the other one was Facundo Farias or if it was Campana again, but both ripped great shots at goal, and Tim got down and pushed both wide. So had they not gotten the benefit of the offside flag or the benefit of, and the I think the second one the ball popped up off the guy's foot on the first touch, hit his hand, and then he shot it, and that's why they called it for a handball. But let's say that it hadn't been offside. Tim made an exceptional save.
Yes,
so
that was,
you don't get to sit here and talk about how old he is when he's the same age as me and younger than Thad and Robert. Okay, Cody. And I know you have those boyish looks, but you're also not a young man. All right.
I'm holding on to those few years older that he is than I am.
But, you know, Tim got down and made some great saves. And other than the PK, you know, I'm not sure any of the goals are really on him.
Yeah, but that PK was really on him.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that was a very good save to get down and push that one wide. There was at least one very, very good one.
There were two.
Okay, see, I'm going back and forth. I don't want to end. I don't want to like move on here after. I don't want to end on ripping him. It's just you guys. I can't believe the way people talk about keepers. I remember the other one you're talking about. It was like if he doesn't save that, it's a howler of a mistake. And
no, I disagree completely.
Okay, we'll move on from that. Timmy, you're great. I love you.
This episode is brought to you by Google Pixel, the official fan phone of the NBA and WNBA. The new Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro are built different. How? Take the Audio Magic Eraser tool. It helps block out distracting crowd noise so your play-by-play commentary sounds crystal clear. The only phone engineered by Google brings out the audio you care about so your videos sound as crisp as they look. Learn more at googlestore.com/pixelnba. Audio Magic Eraser requires Google Photos app. May not work on all audio elements.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need, have coverage options to protect the things you value most, file a claim right on the State Farm mobile app, and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Robert, is Sporting Kansas City better than that Inter Miami team?
As far as a team, a soccer team, yeah. And, you know, if you want to stretch it further and talk about a city, well, hell yeah, we're better than Miami, right? I mean, come on.
That I can for sure get down with. The reason I had to add in there that Inter Miami team was because it specifically was without the world's greatest player. So that obviously changes things. But it sounds like you have several reasons as to why Kansas City is better than Miami.
You know, Cody, I do. I for sure.
Top five list?
Ready for this,
Second
Cody?
top five list.
We got everything queued up. Are we ready to go?
I'm ready, and we're not going to mess it up. I got it this time.
Okay. All right. We'll start with number 5, Kansas and Missouri River. You got the polluted Atlantic Ocean at your doorstep. We've got the crystal clear mafia body dump infested waters of the Kansas and Missouri River. No contest.
I think we're going backwards here. I don't think that we're okay. The number 4 reason.
Number 4, Ted Lasso and Johnny fucking Russell.
JFR.
The glitz and glamour of Beckham, Busquets, Alba, and Messi. Please.
I think this list is backwards. Is that the bit here? Okay, hold on. Let's keep going here. What's the number 3 reason?
Number 3, Joe Arthur Gatestack, baby.
Joe's Arthur Gatestack. I'm leaving
Fresh
that one
seafood, tantalizing your taste buds. You ain't tasted nothing until Joe Arthur Gatestack.
I like that. Joe Arthur Gatestack. Number 2 reason.
Tornadoes in abundance.
Oh, come on. None of these are reasons.
Preparing for hurricanes to ravage your homes? We've got tornadoes in abundance. You can't see those bitches coming.
Good. And it's profanity ridden here. The number 1 reason why I guess Kansas City is better than Miami.
Robert is an adult. He can swear.
St. Louis refugees.
Good Lord.
Got Haitian refugees looking for a better life, flooding your city. Whatever. We've got St. Louis refugees flying en masse to our city, an actual soccer-specific stadium.
Those Haitian refugees bring with them incredible culture and life to that city in Miami. St. Louis.
Well, Cody, I think you caught on to the whole theme.
St. Louis refugees bring Catholicism and cigarettes with them.
And pizza.
And bad marinara.
And terrible
no, not
pizza.
pizza.
There's an emos in Kansas City.
Does anybody go there?
Is there
Yeah.
really? Where?
Trying to remember where it's at.
It was one of the
Robert's eyes widened as he's fighting
Oh,
his,
hell no.
his actual like his lizard brain, his St. Louis lizard brain.
There was one on State Line, but it failed because it's a gross pizza.
That's right.
There was like 3 or 4 of them at one time, and I think it's down to 1. And it's not as good as the emos in St. Louis or even Columbia.
Actually, I think I said that backwards. There was one in Westport, right by this Sunfresh in a great spot, and that failed, and now I think it's over on State Line now. Anyway, gross pizza. I think we need to get back to the Orlando City discussion. There was a piece of that discussion we haven't talked about. And I was trying to give St. Louis credit for finding one soccer-y name that was left in the world, because everything else we have the Uniteds, we have cities, we've got FC and SCs, Inter is taken, Sporting, Real. So that begs the question of what is left here. What are some soccer-y names left for an MLS team to claim? How about what's Albion? What does Albion mean? Is that a club name?
West Bromwich Albion?
Yeah, I don't know. West Bromwich sounds like the place, and Albion sounds like the team name. There's a couple other Albions too. I think that's one. How about Atletico? There's no Atleticos. Yeah, that's another one. Okay, we got 2.
Racing.
Oh, that's a good one.
There you go.
Racing. Except that's in the NWSL though, right? Or no?
There is Racing Louisville. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, the Albion suffix is an alternative name for Great Britain.
Oh. Okay, so that doesn't really.
They were originally the West Bromwich Strollers.
Our listeners there has to be other names. I thought this was going to be more of a fun discussion.
Was that in 96 when they joined MLS? Strollers? That sounds like a 96 name.
We need something other than Atletico. There has to be another one out there. Listeners, comment, reply. Do it on Twitter or in our comment section. Tell us what there has to be a name that we're missing here. A soccer-y, football-y name that MLS can claim.
Well, there's like Dynamo, but they have the Houston Dynamo who kind of use it a little differently.
Well, same with Red Bull too, like RB, whatever. It's this, yeah. It's just.
Oh, see, that's a good one though.
They can do it differently here though, because it's like we use these arbitrary animal names and mascots in all of our official team names. So that's our version of the Dynamo and the Red Bull is how those two teams come across. But yeah, we have claimed those two as well.
Yeah, Red Bull's a good one though, because there's like 40 different Red Bull teams.
Yeah, but that's just all because they're owned.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I
just
don't
all
really
the
see it
owner.
as a team style name like Athletic or
It
United.
is now.
No, that's just their owner name.
I mean, you could probably start having a team name of Middle East Wealth Fund clubs or something.
Like no other team in the world could just be like, all right, now we're RB as well. Like we're Red Bull, whatever.
Well,
yeah.
Well, so hold on though. You could, because RB Leipzig in Germany is not technically Red Bull Leipzig because the Bundesliga rules wouldn't allow them to be named after it. So RB actually stands for Rasenball Sport.
Yeah.
Which translates to lawn ball sport.
Yeah. That's just a weird situation there. I actually like that move that get that ad out of our official team names on our table. I don't like that. That's a good move. MLS should do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, since we are looking around the league, let's take a look around the league for some results that happened yesterday. Let's look at the table. Let's assess the damage and see where we're at. Robert, help us out here. He wasn't ready yet.
Yeah, boys. 1 point, like you guys mentioned earlier, I think Thad would have been beneficial last night because that would have brought us level with number 11 and number 10 in the standings right now. We're 12, Austin and Portland. So it would have been nice to be level with them. But here's the issue. Number 9, Dallas. They've played 2 less matches than we have.
Right.
And they're sitting at 34 points, 2 points ahead. So that's a bit of a mountain to climb there. And just above them is San Jose. We've played the same amount of games, 28, but they have 37 points. That's a 5-point swing there. Do we play San Jose the rest of the season?
No,
if we do. That's going to be a huge match.
We just did and beat them, and it was a huge match.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
It would have been.
So that's the 2 obstacles right now is Dallas and San Jose. We can leapfrog Austin and Portland pretty easily, I think. But
where's Minnesota? How far up there are they? Because we have a potential 6-point swing against them. Are they leapfroggable?
They're number 7. They're at 1 game less than us right now, 37 points, same as San Jose. So they're 5 above us.
So we need to contribute to Minnesota's epic collapse here at the end of the season. We need to get both of those games, 6 points from them, and then to just beat them into submission so they drop points against everyone else.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you for that, Thad.
For what it's worth, they got Manuel Reynoso back from, I think, an Argentinian prison with no suspension, because why would we punish somebody for pulling a gun on a child? But he is basically playing at like an MVP level. He won't win MVP because of 1, Messi, and 2, he missed like half the season, but he is playing exceptionally well right now.
Was the kid trying to carjack him?
It depends on who you ask, I suppose.
I don't know.
But the narrative, like when he got arrested and charged criminally and was out for most of the year, like the facts, the reporting around it was really ugly. It was real bad.
Yeah, I do remember that, but I was just trying to see if like anything had come out about that, because initial reporting on a lot of things are stupid and really bad, and then you find out later that it was way better or way worse.
So going back to the topic, Cody, you made a good point there with Minnesota, because that's the only team that's above us that we actually play the rest of the season. And we play them on decision day too. So
yeah, that
could be a really big game. I wonder if we should like do something special on that day.
What'd you have in mind?
Nothing.
Okay. David, do you have any ideas?
Anybody else?
So I want to give a quick plug to the Battered Herons podcast, which is an Inter Miami podcast. They were kind enough to have me on after Kevin show fell through, which personally I think is an upgrade. We all know that Brazilians know more about soccer and care more than Argentinians do.
There it is.
Or sweeping generalizations. But the Battered Heron guys, first of all, they're great. They do a really funny show. So if you're ever interested, you should go watch it. But they live stream their pod. We record on StreamYard. They use StreamYard, and there's an ability for them to record live. Commenters log in, watch the show as they record it, leave comments. There's a lot of interactivity. So,
wow, that would be really cool if we did that.
I concur.
Is there any special day we should probably target to do our first one live?
I mean, decision day.
Ah, okay.
Oh, that's a good idea that just came up right now in this moment. Yeah, I that was not very graceful the way that I pulled that out of David there, but yeah, we are considering that would be the ultimate goal, is to get to doing live streams. We have that capability as well. It is a good dynamic to be able to interact with comments as we're recording. So that is something we would like to do. We don't know what kind of interest there is in that, when we could do it. All of those things are still questions. So if that's something anyone is interested in, live shows, let us know. And maybe also like a time that would make sense to listen to it. Because that is something we want to try. So we're going to try that's coming at some point. We'll try to do live shows at some point.
The St. Louis match may not be a bad alternative.
That's a good point, Robert, because the Minnesota game, the decision day is here, which makes it harder to do a post-game win.
Yeah.
Because it would also be, a 10:30 at night when at the earliest.
I will not be in good shape during that St. Louis game. I'm normally pretty
Why?
good. I was desperate. Like I was I should not have been in the press box for that last one. I was like, I kept jumping out of my seat and like having to stifle myself from saying things and pointing and saying things to the St. Louis fans that I could hear on my side of the stadium. I don't know. I don't want people to watch me. I don't like going out to bars for big games. KU in the Final Four. I'm not going to go to a bar to watch that. The Royals in the World Series. No.
Well, you don't have to worry about that anytime soon.
I need to be like alone and I'm vulnerable in these moments. And I really want to beat St. Louis. Like I'm not ashamed of it. I'm all in on that rivalry, and like I genuinely do not want to lose to St. Louis and have to hear their fans talk about it. So I'm not in a good place for those games.
They will talk about it.
But maybe that would be good content. I just need to be vulnerable.
Exactly.
We all need to be vulnerable. That's what people like in this new age of content. You have to be real and vulnerable. Thad, you're too guarded.
Yeah.
It's not the first time he's heard that, Cody.
Well done. Well done with that one. Bruce Arena got himself fired or resigned or something.
He was probably too unguarded.
He should have been more guarded, apparently.
Yeah.
So the news broke last night that he had officially resigned. He's been suspended for months for an investigation into him saying insensitive and hurtful things. And he basically came out with a statement and was like, yeah, this has gone on so long. I just want it to be over with. I'm sorry for what I did. I'll be better in the future. But he is essentially kind of not banned from coaching, but functionally banned from coaching if he wants to get another job with MLS, either in like technical staff, as a sporting director, as a coach. He has to petition the commissioner for reinstatement.
Which is probably means he's done.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We don't know what he did. We don't know
Right.
exactly what he said or anything like that. I mean, there's obviously things he could have done that was completely horrible or things that could have been maybe taken slightly out of context or something. I don't know. Not trying to defend him in any way, shape, or form. I don't really like him anyway.
Yeah.
But that's how NWSL has gotten rid of coaches, has said that you're suspended until you petition the league and to come back. And so I would expect he's probably not back. Probably next time we see him is when he's taking over for Berhalter as an emergency
God.
replacement to try to qualify for something.
No, like
Well,
thank you
not
to
for the World Cup.
Yeah.
We're already qualified.
Like, thank you to Bruce for the history. We had some fun times with him as the manager. He's had a lot of success in MLS. But in my head, I think of him as just a relic of time past. Like, he just seems like, wasn't he kind of like the World Cup before he coached? Wasn't he just like a guy in the stands watching? Like, he reminds me of like when I was little. It was just kick the ball and run. That's what coaches did. It was just kick the ball and run. No one necessarily had immense expertise and knew exactly what they were doing with tactics and all of that. And that's in my head. That's kind of where Bruce Arena was. Just an age of U.S. soccer that we've moved beyond. Thad, you're making a face. Do I have that wrong? You even said you don't like him, and you're still trying to disagree with me about this.
He's been a coach for a long, long time, man. So he's had a lot of success.
I know.
I don't always like him, and he has sometimes benefited from being on coaching a team that had the rules bent for him, LA, DC. But he's also turned around the Revolution. He's been good with the U.S. at times. I just don't want to say he's not a good coach. I don't think he's always as good a coach as what some have given him credit for, but he's still a good coach. And New England was playing well under him, so
I
don't want to diminish that aspect of him. I don't know what he did, and we could criticize that especially if we ever found out what it was, which I fully expect that sometime in the near future we'll be able to find it out. But
The holidays are a time to feel and create joy. And what could be more joyous than the look on her face as she unwraps a stunning new jewelry piece from Blue Nile? How about getting 50% off your purchase? Blue Nile offers premium quality, priced below traditional retail. Their online experts are available 24/7 to answer any questions and make sure you've picked the perfect gift. For a limited time, you can get 50% off at BlueNile.com. That's 50% off at BlueNile.com.
Well, as we were looking back there at Bruce Arena in the days of U.S. men's soccer, we're now looking ahead to the next era, this next World Cup. We have so much hopes and dreams, and we have this elite group of players, and somehow they still struggle against Uzbekistan. I know the goal.
Well,
I know the score was 3-0 there. That was not an accurate reflection of the game for me. They piled on 2 there in stoppage time, one of which was a PK. But, man, Uzbekistan, they hit the post a couple times. They had more than enough chances to equalize or even go ahead in that game. And I felt all of the memes that day leading up to it of, all right, it's exciting. The team is back. I love watching this group of players play together. It's fun. We all have these hopes for them. But it was a little taken. Some of it was taken away with Berhalter out there. And it's just, again, where's the match? Why is this team not better? Why can we not just come out and beat a team like Uzbekistan? I know I'm saying that, and they did. It was 3-0. They did eventually beat them. But there's just a quality of this team. It used to be that we were hard to beat, that we would play with anyone that was better than us. And now it just seems like we're the team that lesser teams can play against. Like in Sporting, we've talked about how Sporting plays down to the level of the other team. I think the national team is guilty of that a little bit as well. But even in those games, they'll play better than them. They just can't seem to assert the dominance. I don't know if it's this young team that is still going to have to figure that out. But I do point some of the finger at Greg Berhalter. David, where are you at on the Berhalter situation?
I'm not a big Berhalter fan, but I don't put yesterday's match on Berhalter so much as I do on the lack of fan support. From
right.
I mean, it's tough to get up and go and play, in front of a half-empty stadium and in
a hellhole of a
call
city.
themselves the soccer capital of America and talk about how much of an impact they've had on the game. Thanks for Tim Parker, I guess. But, when the fans don't show up, how easy is it to get motivated and go out and want to play against Uzbekistan?
Fair point. Valid point.
All right, so I have to point and counterpoint, both counterpoint and then point, whatever that goes.
Mute him.
Point,
Mute his
counterpoint.
microphone. Mute his microphone.
Shut up, David. You could point back to when the U.S. played in Kansas City in 2021 Gold Cup, and one of those matches was in front of 7,511. Now, I'm going to defend that a little bit. Is that Gold Cup they played 3 games in Kansas City, and everybody knew who they were playing, which was Martinique, Haiti, and Canada. Canada was the game that everybody cared to see because they were the team that was improving and getting good. So that game was a sellout, 18,500, something like that. The other 2 games were 7,500, 12,600 and something. So, but that was 3 games in a span of 7 days. So if anybody points to Kansas City's attendance being bad that week or one of those games, piss off. You got to look at the entire picture.
And on top of that is a valid point there, Thad. But to add on top of it, I actually saw this discussion. I think Zach is the one that Zachary Cobb pointed this out, said that I can't take credit for it. But that was also just a random string of games after we've had this stadium for a long time. A more accurate thing to look at would be the first time the U.S. national team played at Children's Mercy Park after it opened, after we had this crown jewel, after we had everything was exciting all around it, which is what St. Louis is doing right now. There's all the soccer capital stuff they think they are. They got this new team, a new stadium. Berhalter said they are the soccer capital that week in training because someone asked him about it. Come on, how do you not pack that house? I'm sorry, it was lame.
I will. Okay, so I'm gonna defend them against myself, and I'm trying not to vomit. Um, Look, it is a meaningless friendly against a team that nobody cares to see us play. Like Thad mentioned, it's tough to sell out Children's Mercy Park against Guadeloupe and Martinique. Who cares to watch us play a friendly against Uzbekistan?
The soccer capital of America.
Can you name a single professional footballer now or ever from Uzbekistan?
No, but I also said earlier that I couldn't name a player from New York City FC.
Tati Castellanos, although they sold him, but
Maxi Morales.
Oh, that's I know that name.
That's muted. But there's a lot of, I feel like, fatigue with the national team. I love watching the Yanks play, but playing Uzbekistan, like, who cares?
Not St. Louis, apparently.
Definitely not St. Louis. I wouldn't have gone to the game if it was in Kansas City, not against Uzbekistan.
Well, I would have, but I wouldn't have paid. But I agree with your point there, David, because the U.S. soccer does harm to themselves by how they price things. They also typically don't let the local team sell tickets and promote, try to work to sell those tickets. So that's hampered Kansas City in the past. That's hampered probably every location that they've ever been. So it's just a little stupidity that U.S. soccer gets into. So that plays into it too. So the only reason that you want to give St. Louis crap for it is because of the entire lead up to this week has been somebody from St. Louis and then the league jumping in on it. Oh, St. Louis is such a great soccer city. Oh, should we recognize all the St. Louis guys who have been there, and they did. I've got the picture up on my computer. Can't really show it, so that doesn't matter. But of all the guys that they gave jerseys to with their specific cap number, so when they're 232nd person to get a cap. I mean, some of those guys were wheeled out there. I don't expect to see them at 3 more games after this because they are that old. It's been that long since St. Louis has contributed that many players, but they have. And the other point to that is we weren't really a great soccer nation when they were contributing all those players.
Yeah, I know we've had this discussion many times and we can move on from that, but that whole point about supplying these players and the history and all that, none of that makes you the soccer capital. I'm not even disagreeing that they've done these things or they have these things. I just think it's weird that someone would say these things and then be like, that means we're the soccer capital of America. It's literally a crazy thing. And I can't believe they all say it with a straight face. Anyway, we've gone on long here today, but Thad, we need to talk about the current, at least briefly here. They were eliminated from the, oh, no, you don't want to move on?
Well, I did want to just at least defend the U.S. about Uzbekistan. They're the 75th ranked country in the world or whatever. But we know as sporting fans how hard it is to play against a team that basically sits back 10 players behind the ball. And that's what Uzbekistan does a lot. And they just try to counter. And they do have players that play in Serie A and the Turkish Super League. So it's not like they're all farmers in Uzbekistan playing soccer once in a while. They do have good players. They're just not that high ranked. So it's harder to break down teams like that. Even for
they have
some of the
one
best
player.
Teams.
They have one player in Serie A, and they have 2 players in Turkey, but playing for bad teams.
Yes, but they're still there. But it's hard to break down bad teams. I mean, we've played against Houston and Dallas and stuff like that when they're terrible and couldn't break them down. They're hard to score on. I think they gave up 6 goals in the last year. So it's not like they're just total crap. So I do wish the U.S. would have done better throughout that game, but just wanted to defend them a little bit.
It's a lack of fan support.
It is almost hard to say that name in a soccer way, when you're talking about soccer, without saying it sarcastically. Just the name Uzbekistan. It's hard to not be they lost to Uzbekistan, and not make it sound sarcastic.
Well, the next one will be Oman. I know I didn't say that correctly. That was on purpose.
Is it easier to say Uzbekistan or St. Louis City FC SC KC MC BC TD?
It's a debate. I think Uzbekistan is shorter. Okay, Thad, the Kansas City Current. To set the stage here, I just want to go back. They were very good last year. We spent all offseason talking about how great of the additions that they were making. Expectations were very high. They have a freaking Ballon d'Or nominee on their team right now. And yet they are all but eliminated from NWSL postseason and were just eliminated from the Challenge Cup. So how did this happen?
Oh, man, we don't have enough time for a full pod on this right now. However, they were not as good last year as everybody tried to make them out to be. They got results, which is the difference between being good and getting results. Then they fire the coach that was getting those results early in the year. But all those players, all those big names that they signed, a lot of them didn't contribute much this year. Vanessa DiBernardo, Morgan Gautrat. They were both injured at the beginning of the year. They come back, they look good, and then they're both out with concussions for the rest of the season. There's just so many factors of this. They were criminally mismanaged in getting defensive player help in the offseason. They went for all the midfield and offense and didn't have enough defenders at the beginning of the season, so they had 2 rookies starting for a long time. And now they get 2 World Cup level center backs in, but it's too late. It's just been kind of mismanaged from the get-go.
So then are they set for next year then with these players that weren't able to contribute this year but should be ready for next season?
Well, until some of those players, one of the players they signed in last offseason, Hannah Glass, still hasn't showed up. Still hasn't been in a game day roster and has not been in full training yet.
Wow.
So who knows if she'll ever be back. I mean, they're still carrying Sam Ewis on the roster who hasn't played for 2 years. Desiree Scott, who hasn't played for 2 years.
Yeah, what's going on there with Sam Ewis? I thought about that the other day. So it's just she is still a member of the team, technically?
She is technically on the roster. She is. They signed her to a new contract over the offseason. One of the smart things they did was they re-signed her to a contract, presumably to a much lower dollar amount, but so she could be on insurance and get rehabbed and all that stuff. So that was something good they did.
I haven't seen her at yoga in a long time.
I don't think she's been in Kansas City for the whole time.
All right, lads.
I have a brief question. So, the Current have been playing all year, functionally all year with an interim manager. Is there a short list for who's going to take the reins next season?
Vlatko?
I know that they have been pushing hard to get Vlatko Ananovsky. And he proven NWSL coach in the past and good guy. I mean, I know people complain about him from the World Cup, but there's a lot of factors that go into that situation also. He after that, I don't know they have a short list. And quite honestly, I actually like their coach. I like Caroline Hoerblum, and I think she will be a good coach at some point. I just think that she probably was a little too quickly thrust into something that she shouldn't have been because of a mysterious firing of the previous coach.
Do some investigative journalism on that, Thad. Off-season reporting.
I would love to find out I would love to find somebody on the record that will talk about that.
Do some digging. Get back to me.
We have.
Okay. We're over an hour here again. Any final thoughts? David, did you get all your Miami talk out of the way this episode? We didn't lean into our Miami expert enough.
Well, we can end the show talking. I'll just some Miami buzzwords to maybe up the SEO or whatever it is. Gloria Estefan, Pitbull, Dale. My Miami Hurricanes did win yesterday. We beat Texas A&M in American football, which was very nice for me. The Marlins are bad, but better than other teams like the Royals and the Yankees.
Marlins are always bad.
I wish I could get a good Cuban sandwich in Kansas City.
Someone find David a good Cuban sandwich. There we go.
They don't exist.
Make it yourself.
That would be the closest I could get. So,
Actually, let's have that discussion because I would like to know what makes a good Cuban sandwich in your opinion.
We're not. The show has gone long. We're not ending the show.
I didn't say we do it now. I said this is a discussion we can have.
Sounds like a whole
Cuban
other
sandwich
pod.
ingredients. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Well, I actually, while it's still topical, I was asked this on that Miami podcast. So, and they actually put up a graphic on screen, and I don't know how to do that for you right now. But the question was, when you make a sandwich and you cut that sandwich in half, are you cutting it vertically, just half and half, or are you cutting it on the diagonal? Cody, which do you pick?
I do half. I don't do the diagonal.
Robert.
Vertical.
Thaddeus.
Diagonal.
I picked diagonal too.
Diagonal is probably cooler, isn't it?
It's a more
That's how the
ergonomic
restaurants
height.
do it.
Yeah.
Now, it will not always be corner to corner. If you're talking square bread, it will probably be corner to corner, but not always.
Oh, well, then that's terrible. You can't do that diagonal cut unless you do it exactly right.
Have you not figured out by now that I am not quite right in the head? I mean,
I have a friend who gets very upset when things are not like perfectly made. His name's Andrew. Shout outs to Andrew. But I will purposefully cut his sandwiches like in thirds, or like just make the cuts like very irregular, just to upset him.
Why are you cutting his
David
sandwiches?
is evil, and why?
We've gone on
cutting...
vacations together and stuff. I'll cook lunch for everybody. But I'm like a sandwich terrorist with Andrew, just to upset him.
You're just a terrorist in general, David.
Well, that's it.
I can't believe we let him on this
David.
podcast.
David, I don't think you're a terrorist in any sense of the word.
Thank you, Robert. I appreciate you.
Robert was very supportive of this podcast. Good job, Robert. Thank you for that.
that's why we love Robert.
Sporting.
Don't seem so tough. And 3 own goals ain't all that rough. Our skipper has just been sent off. Supporters strong have all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.